We're excited you're joining us for In Pursuit of a Cure 2022, investing in every path to hope. I'm Michelle Davis, Executive Director of the International Fibrodysplasia Ossificans Progressiva Association. You may know us better as the IFOPA, or as some may say, IFOPA. If this is your first In Pursuit of a Cure event, thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you who may not be very familiar with this condition, FOP is an ultra-rare genetic condition that causes the body's soft tissues to turn into hard bone. It progressively restricts movement until the body is eventually imprisoned in a second skeleton. There is no cure for this devastating condition, and while one treatment has received regulatory approval in Canada, the need to see all clinical trials through to completion is critical so that there are a wide range of treatments available to everyone with FOP. That's why we come together in pursuit of a cure. Donations to this event will continue funding the promising advancements already being made in gene therapy research for FOP, and will now provide clinical trial education and support around the world. I'm excited to let you know that this is the first year that In Pursuit of a Cure will also fund a clinical trial for FOP, a trial that was delayed and ran out of funding due to the global pandemic. This is so important for our FOP community who count on us to support both long-term research like gene therapy and research opportunities with potentially more immediate results, such as clinical trials. We're focusing on hope for today and hope for tomorrow. But I'm even more excited for you to meet some amazing young adults living with FOP, Nadine, Justin, and Natalie, who are pursuing higher education and careers. Their stories highlight just how critically important it is that we find a treatment so they can continue to maintain their chosen career paths and their independence. Their courage and resilience will move you, and you'll see why we'll never stop working toward treatments and a cure, why we're investing in every path to hope. Of course, none of this progress would be possible without the generosity and tenacity of our FOP families, donors, and research partners. We are so thankful for everything you've done to bring us this far. Coming up, you'll meet the chairs of this year's event, Felicia and Taylor Ray, and hear about their family's journey with FOP. But first, I'd like you to meet some of my friends who are living with FOP around the world. After hearing from them, I'm sure that you will want to join us in investing in every path to hope.
My name is Samson, and I am 7 years old.
My name is Brooke, and I'm from South Australia.
My name is Maria Red, and I'm 10 years old.
I'm Natalie, and I'm 21 years old.
I'm Joshua, and I'm 16 years old.
My name is Isabella Alfieri, and I'm from Parma, Italy.
My name is Haley, and I am 8 years old.
My name is Joe Such. I make YouTube videos in New York City.
My name is Nadine, and I'm from Berlin, Germany.
My name is Oliver. I'm 14 years old, and I live in Manchester, England.
My name is Justin Hankey, and I'm from Middletown, Delaware.
I wish I didn't have to take a bath every day.
I wish I could wash my own hair.
I wish I could be myself in private.
Most of all,
I wish for a world.
I wish for the world.
I wish for a world without FOP.
Without FOP.
Without FOP.
Without FOP.
Most of all, I wish for a world without FOP.
My name is Maria Ray, and I am 10 years old. If I could describe myself in one word, it would be unique.
Maria is awesome. She's very smart and funny. She can have a very dry sense of humor, but she's just very confident.
I feel like there are always gears turning in her mind, and she's thinking of, her next craft or her birthday party. She always has a vision, and there's always something cooking in there. I just think she has a very creative way of sort of looking at the world.
I've always had a big imagination and big dreams, so I think that just gives me confidence.
Maria had a very unusually aggressive early progression of FOP. She had ongoing flare-ups from the time she was 13 months for the next year and a half.
She lost so much mobility
and was severely affected at a young age. I think we have one picture where she was standing up and she had her arms up over her head, and that is the only picture. It's hard to even remember that was something she used to be able to do. Maria really doesn't have any movement of her neck, back, shoulders, not at all. Her elbows are locked, and last year she lost some movement of her jaw. That was a hard one. It was around Halloween that she said she couldn't fit a blow pop in her mouth, and that was a real heartbreaker for me. Like, it was just this innocent thing that a kid should be able to enjoy.
FOP and the mobility restrictions that have come along with it have just always been sort of part of Maria's life and who she is. I've always just admired and kind of been in awe of how determined she is and how sort of willing to try something new if she is able to. So.
I really enjoy tap dancing. It's fast-paced and it challenges me to try my best.
There are a lot of sports and other activities that are off limits for kids with FOP. Dance has been a way for her to express that creative side of herself in a way that suits her abilities, and fortunately happens to be something she's very excited about and passionate about.
I try and just find as many things that I can do so that I don't have to think about what I can't do. I know that if I didn't have FOP, I would be very independent. I could do most things by myself. I wish that I could get dressed by myself. I wish that I could do things that my friends can do, like do a cartwheel, just like little things. I get over when I can't do something by like doing something that I enjoy that I can do, like reading or drawing or like playing piano.
One of the tricky things as parents is trying to find the right balance between being there for Maria and keeping her safe, and also giving her the space to be her own person and, be a regular kid.
It's hard to see Maria not able to do things that I was able to do when I was her age.
It's honestly unfair for her that she's not able to do these simple things that most people are able to do.
There are times when our family has to say, you know what, sorry, that just doesn't work for us because of Maria's mobility restrictions, and that can be tough. Maria has big dreams for her future. She wants to be the President of the United States.
And I also want to be a teacher, but I also want to be a successful businesswoman. The lesson I want other people to take from my confidence and my big dreams is that no matter what you set your mind to, always try to achieve your next goal. And once you achieve that, dream bigger.
Finding a cure for FOP or an effective treatment for FOP would change the course of Maria's life.
This is obviously why gene therapy and clinical trials are so important, is to get us to a point where maybe that uncertain future is going to be uncertain in a good way. We don't know what the future holds, and we hope that it holds something really promising sooner rather than later.
The sooner we come up with a treatment, the better life will be for everyone who has FOP.
Hello, and welcome to In Pursuit of a Cure, investing in every path to hope. I'm Felicia Ray.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Taylor Ray. Felicia and I are both excited to be your chairs for this year's event. As the proud parents of 3 children, one of whom was diagnosed with FOP when she was just 1 year old, this event is a very meaningful moment for us. We are doing everything we can to get to the day when no child or family has to deal with the pain of FOP.
This means sharing our story to raise awareness of FOP and raising vital research dollars to find the answers that will unlock treatments and a cure.
The IFOPA and the research team supported by the IFOPA are working to end FOP. With your help, the entire FOP community is investing in every path to hope to stop this devastating condition.
We're especially excited about In Pursuit of a Cure this year because, in addition to funding the next phase of promising gene therapy research, the IFOPA is funding a clinical trial for a drug with the potential to prevent both flare-ups and the formation of FOP bone. This is the first time the IFOPA has funded a clinical trial, and the drug being tested was explored as a treatment for FOP patients through an Act for FOP grant funded by the IFOPA in 2016.
We know this path will likely be a long one, and there will be challenges and plenty of stops and starts along the way. But research is our best hope, and we're so thankful you're here with us today to keep this progress going strong.
Tonight, you're going to hear about the advancements made in gene therapy for FOP, as well as learn about the progress of the Stop-FOP clinical trial. I'm pleased to bring back our friends from the University of Massachusetts. Here's an update from Drs. Guangping Gao and Jay Shim on their work in gene therapy.
Dr. Jay Shim comes to work every day with a purpose.
When I decided to become a scientist, I want to do something for community, something helpful.
Now he's working to develop a gene therapy treatment to help the community of patients living with FOP. The IFOPA has funded his lab's FOP gene therapy work for the last 2 years through donations raised during the In Pursuit of a Cure campaign. He believes gene therapy is a promising treatment for this rare and disabling condition.
FOP has one gene has a problem, and using the gene therapy technology, we can switch this problematic gene with the good gene. This is the major principle of gene therapy.
In year 1 of the grant, he and his team developed a combination gene therapy that both stops the faulty FOP genes from malfunctioning and adds normal functioning FOP genes.
We test them whether it works or not using human FOP cells, and we prove it's working.
They also determined that the best way to deliver this therapeutic combination to the targeted cells is through a safe virus, specifically an adeno-associated virus, also known as an AAV. And then they identified the best AAV type to get the job done. In year 2, they tested the efficacy of their combination therapy and delivery vehicle in both adult and juvenile FOP mice.
We proved that our AAV gene therapy actually suppress or prevent FOP development in these mice, humanized FOP mice. It's not just a spontaneous FOP development, also trauma-induced FOP developments can be protected too.
Based on the data, we are very enthusiastic for the potential of this therapeutic approach to treat or to prevent the disease of FOP.
Dr. Guangping Gao was an early pioneer in the field of gene therapy. He says these early studies are just the beginning.
No matter how good in a little mouse model, you need a translational study to prove its safety and to demonstrate, to test its efficacy in human patients.
With the 3rd year of IFOPA funding, while continuing to study the ideal AAV-based combination gene therapy that both stops the faulty genes and adds normal functioning genes, UMass scientists will add an additional focus of study.
We're gonna keep developing our ideal drug, but we focus what is most practical, what is the fastest way to treat the kids.
That faster way may be to treat and prevent flare-ups more locally through RNA silencing alone, potentially making a treatment available sooner. For both treatment paths, they are bringing on board Dr. Anastasia Kvorva, an expert in RNA interference, a technique that can inhibit or silence disease-causing genes.
The way you can think about RNA silencing or RNA interference is a search engine. When you take your phone in your hands or you go on a computer and you look at the internet, how do you find the information? You go to Google and you put a couple of sentences or words and you hit search. So the analogy which can be used for describing RNA interference mechanism, it's a Google of the cell. You have a lot of genetic information, and we're saying, please go find this disease-causing gene and silence it.
This type of therapeutic RNA, which would likely require an injection every 3 to 6 months, has already been proven safe and led to approved drugs for other diseases.
It's complex, it's 400 steps, but if I can do it in academic lab, it's relatively straightforward.
And the hope is that this approach could accelerate the regulatory approval process for an FOP silencing drug, while the work on a combination treatment is still in development. But targeting flare-ups may require silencing more than just the disease-causing gene.
What we believe is that flare-up is like this. Inflammation happens, activin A is there, and the mutation is there. They all happens at the same time. It's like a wildfire. And if you put only one drug, it's not enough.
Extinguishing that fire may require dousing it in multiple ways.
Next step gonna be we are developing cocktail compound, cocktail RNAi, suppressing inflammation, suppressing activin A, suppressing mutation, ACVR mutation, all together with one injection with a local delivery. We think this might work.
The reason that this team of doctors is able to explore so many different approaches without pausing to apply for additional grant funding is due to the support of the IFOPA.
With the continuous funding of IFOPA, without stop, we just keep moving forward. We have an idea, we do right away, without waiting.
With ongoing support from the FOP community, their work can continue, and these doctors won't give up.
I want to tell the patients and their families, please hang in there and just put this kind of work onto our shoulder. We will try our best. We will do it as fast as we can to save patients' life and to change the quality of their lives.
I'm Nadine, I'm from Germany, and I'm 30 years old. I'm a PhD student. I'm working in a lab, and specifically I'm working on FOP, which I think is really a big privilege, and I'm very happy and actually also honored to be able to do this. I was diagnosed with FOP when I was 15, but my first symptoms I had when I was 13. I think I was not interested in having FOP at first. I did not know there are other patients. I did not know there are any patient organizations. I didn't know there are any scientists or any pharma who's interested in FOP. And I was like, okay, if nobody else is interested, then why should I be interested? That changed when I noticed that there's like a strong community behind the disease, and that really inspired me. The biggest challenge of having FOP are little daily things like getting dressed when I want to put on my socks. I cannot do that with any tools. The things which affect me the most is the social effects, not really the physical impairment, but really how we are viewed by the society. Because, you know, people stare and they wonder what you have, and then constantly having to explain yourself, that's just really emotionally draining, and that really affects me the most. Having FOP and working at the same time on a FOP-related project is definitely also a challenge, and also emotionally a challenge, because on the one hand, it's really a privilege that I still have the mobility to perform experiments and go to the lab. But on the other hand, you know, when an experiment doesn't turn out the way I wanted it to be or hoped it to be, then of course it's even more frustrating. Then again, it's really motivating to know whom I'm doing this for, because, you know, it's not only myself I know, but I know the whole community who is standing behind the word FOP. And that really gives me a motivation to get up in the morning and just try to experiment again. I hope that with my work, I can contribute, you know, a little puzzle piece to the big picture. I'm like a small fish in the sea, if you want, but I think that if we put all these findings together, we can have a bigger impact. Right now, it's a very exciting time in FOP research because we have come so far, but still there's so much we have to find out because, once we solve one mystery, there are 10 other mysteries which come up. Clinical trials are so important because without them, we will never have a drug. Just having a drug candidate is not enough. Testing the drugs in patients will hopefully then lead to having a drug which can be approved. Having a treatment for FOP would mean the world for all of us. For me personally, it would give me some security that I can continue working, that I also can continue biking, and just knowing that it will not progress. That would be already a big impact, and that's why I'm hoping and I'm wishing it will come very soon.
While we're hopeful for the promise that gene therapy holds for the future, we know that clinical trials could potentially lead to treatments in the near term. So in addition to supporting gene therapy research, the IFOPA is raising the funds needed for an important clinical trial. Here's an exclusive first look at what's happening in the Stop-FOP trial, and you'll see why your support is so important.
Julie Christensen was diagnosed with FOP when she was 5 years old.
Right now, my level-less mobility is non-existing. I have a whole team of caregivers who is with me all the time.
Now 26, Julie says the hardest part of living with FOP, aside from the pain of flare-ups, is the lack of understanding of this rare condition.
People don't understand the disease, and especially in my case, some people are afraid of touching the disease and don't know how to act around it. It's hard to fit into a world who don't know how to act.
Every 3 months, she makes a 10-hour drive from her home in Denmark to Amsterdam University Medical Center to participate in a clinical trial she hopes can lead to a treatment for FOP. The trial is called Stop-FOP.
The Stop-FOP trial is a trial in which we try to investigate whether a drug called saracatinib can stop the wrong bone from forming in people with FOP. We have investigated this drug in preclinical trials, and it appears to be effective in those trials. But in order to really know whether or not it works, we need to investigate that in people with FOP.
Saracatinib is not a new drug. It was developed by AstraZeneca as a potential cancer treatment, but proved ineffective in treating cancer.
When medication isn't sufficient enough for one disease, it's very good to look to other options.
Dr. Marilies Eckhoff is the principal investigator of the Stop-FOP trial.
I was first introduced to FOP when a patient came into my clinic. I was surprised and also shocked by the severity of the disease and how one cell can change into another and give such a burden to the patient. As a doctor, it's really difficult. You want to do something for them. You want to help, and we can't yet.
She decided to join the effort to find a treatment for FOP and began planning the Stop-FOP trial in 2019.
We got €1 million for a 3 years phase 2 study. Why phase 2 and not phase 1? Well, it has been studied already in many patients by AstraZeneca for other purposes. And now we have an enormous data that it has been very safe in a large population of patients with cancer, but also with other diseases.
Julie is one of 12 patients currently enrolled in the study, both in Amsterdam and Germany. Her hope is not just a treatment for herself, but for younger people living with FOP and those yet to be diagnosed.
Knowing that I can change their life and their future is a big drive to me.
The contributions of patients like Julie to the Stop-FOP trial is, it's essential. We can't do anything without collaboration and participation of patients like her.
It's not a small commitment. Every 6 months, she must undergo an exhaustive day of tests by a team of specialists.
Hello, good morning. How are you today? When people come into the hospital, the first thing we do is we talk to them. We want to know, how have you been these past couple of months? Have you experienced any side effects from the medication? How has your FOP been? Have you had flare-ups? Just to see how somebody's generally doing.
All the way in.
Next is a test for lung function.
The main problem with patients with FOP as to lung function is that the chest wall becomes stiff because of the abnormal muscle and the bone that is growing in it. With this trial, what we are testing is the change in lung function in people without and in people with therapy.
Then a blood draw, with specialists on hand to make sure it's done safely.
We are super aware as anesthesiologists that putting injections into certain tissues can cause heterotopic ossifications in our FOP patients. So we take a number of precautions for that. We can choose, for example, ultrasonic imaging to make it easier for us to visualize the vessels.
The most challenging part of the day for Julie is the PET scan.
1, 2, 3.
Because all the bone formation in my body, it's hard to lay down on the flat board. So I have a lot of pain when I'm done, and it's really tired.
It's also one of the most important tests.
We want to prevent bone from being formed in the body additionally. So the total volume of that bone is the main outcome measure for the study to see how effective the drug is.
Finally, the mobility of each joint is measured.
Just get an idea whether if it's changing, if it's staying the same, or maybe if it's improving. The Stop-FOP trial is a trial which has been running for quite some time now, so we've got some data, and it will be such a shame if we aren't able to complete the trial.
Completion of this important trial is in jeopardy because of delays caused by the COVID pandemic.
The trial as a whole needs about 2.5 years more than we initially anticipated, due to all of the delays that have been created by the whole COVID crisis.
We don't have enough money to finish the whole trial at the moment.
We are doing so much for all of this, and we are using so much time and energy to be a part of it. I think if the trial needs to stop in lack of money, it will feel very empty.
Funds raised through this year's In Pursuit of a Cure campaign can keep this trial going strong and keep alive the hope that a treatment is on the horizon.
I think it's important that this trial is continued because it's promising, and I think everything that's promising should be tried.
It can impact so many people, and hopefully it can stop the disease.
We need to have as many trials running as possible to get a drug for patients that actually works and is safe in the long term.
I'm so thankful to IFOPA. They have been engaged from the beginning. They noticed that we had problems with COVID. They noticed that it's important to have a medication and that they make it possible to go on and proceed with this important trial. I'm very thankful. In some way, I love IFOPA for that.
Some years ago, I got a tattoo on my shoulder of a butterfly with the date of my first diagnosis with FOP. My hope is that I can get a new date below when we get a cure.
My name is Justin Hankey. I live in Middletown, Delaware. I'm 22 years old and a recent UD graduate. I am just a motivated individual. I really just love reading, I love playing the piano, tinkering with computers, really just enjoying life, what I can do. Try not to focus on what I can't do, but focus on what I can do. I recently learned this piece, Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. It's just a great piece about coming through the darkness, like beauty from ashes, right? Rising through difficult times to a beautiful peace. I was diagnosed with FOP when I was 6 years old. Growing up with FOP, my parents were really kind in that they protected me from the sidelines. They didn't let me get wrapped up in bubble wrap and not enjoy my life. Like, we went on ski trips, we went playing basketball, we did everything we could together, so as a family. Once I got to high school, I also joined the swim team. I was never the fastest kid in the pool, but I had endurance. So that's how I really helped the team out. It was really nice being able to do those things up until end of high school or so when I really started having more complications. Now it's a bittersweet moment when I look at a pool because it's something I really enjoyed doing with friends, being able to be like on those teams, and I don't know what I would give to have that again. So FOP is that sleeping bear. It's a really fitting analogy because it's slumbers, and in some patients it starts really early, some patients starts later. I was one of those later cases. It was when I was about 17 or 18 years old. I started having some issues with my back, losing a bit of mobility in my shoulder and a little bit in my hip. Throughout college, a little more loss here, a little more loss there. It's just really a progressive change over time. It was a difficult phase to process, and I've had those times of just despair. But I don't let it define me because I want to show people that joy that I have, that just never ending. Like I'm gonna wake up in the morning and I'm gonna go to work. It's a special feeling of being able to say, I'm in a new chapter of my life. I just purchased a new vehicle. It's an electric vehicle. Oftentimes I'll carpool my sister up to her work. On my way to work, I'm just kind of preparing for the day and kind of thinking about what I worked on yesterday. It's just a good time of reflection and preparation. I started a new job in June at Laurel Bridge Software. I do software development. I got a job in medical imaging specifically. I've just been building computers since I was 16 years old. I just knew I wanted the software side of things just because I enjoyed programming so much. Kind of like a second language for me. So just working on the DCF in the AWS cloud.
Justin is very bright and brings the hard work and work ethic to solving software problems in our industry. Fits in well and doesn't let anything get in his way.
The work I'm in is really unique because it's a challenge, but it's also a fun challenge. Living with FOP is just a journey of challenges, stuff that your average person doesn't deal with, because with the progressive nature of this condition, it's only one way. It just keeps going and going. It's like tally marks on a prison wall almost. It's a skeletal prison wall. I think clinical trials are really important because it's a testing ground for a potential treatment. Having a treatment would release those shackles that our own bodies have forced on ourselves, and then being able to hopefully release some of those in terms of getting some movement back somewhere and just being able to be independent again. My biggest hope and my dream is just work and being that light in that community of like through the fiercest odds, I am still gonna praise the Lord. I'm still gonna be joyful. I'm still gonna figuratively jump from the rooftops. So it's really just an opportunity to be like, nothing's gonna take me down.
My name is Natalie McGuire. I'm 21 years old. I just graduated from the University of Michigan. I discovered a lot of who I was being able to be away from home and being more independent, and really enjoyed being a Wolverine. I consider myself a person with a disability rather than a disabled person. Being disabled is simply a part of who I am. I'm also a student, I'm a dog person, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt. I'm a lot of things, and being disabled is only a small part of it, but it's still an important part that I want to share. I will be going to the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA School of Law in the fall. Part of the reason I chose law is because being disabled, I originally wanted to be a doctor, but I knew personally it would be very hard for me to know that I dedicated 6 to 8 years doing something to then one day have one flare-up that takes it all away. And really I knew I wasn't necessarily tied to medicine as much as I was tied to being able to help people. The idea that I liked about being a lawyer is that I always joked you could be a brain in a jar and still be an attorney, because it's more so just being there to represent your clients, more so in an intellectual and a mental way than a physical way. Your brain is one of the only parts of your body that FOP cannot affect. So I like knowing that that's the thing I have control over, and nothing I put into my brain will ever be lost or wasted. I was diagnosed with FOP in 2011 when I was 10 years old. I remember them telling me my first thought was that I would never be able to play soccer again. And I was obsessed with soccer when I was younger. But I think that was the thing I chose to grasp too, because it was easier as a 10-year-old to pick one thing rather than like everything as a whole changing. I have a picture of me holding a bag of chips above my head, taunting my brother with them. And that's the last picture I have of me raising my arms above my head, and probably one of the last times that I ever did raise my arms above my head. After my freshman year of university, my jaw started to lock, and that was definitely my most difficult flare-up. It's very hard to teach yourself to eat in different ways. I would start eating and I would just become exhausted and I'd stop. I lost about 10 to 15 pounds within like a few months. Luckily, I've discovered different things that work for me. I do miss a lot of foods. The main one is burgers. There's something about eating a burger in a bun with stuff on it that I just really miss. The biggest emotional challenge that I face with FOP is just like the uncertainties. I'm someone who really likes having a plan. Knowing that like even if you do make plans, FOP has its own plan and it can change at any time. I always consider it a balancing act between enjoying my present moment and making sure that I'm taking advantage of the current mobility that I have, while also making sure I'm taking care of myself so in the future, 30 years down the line, I have a job, I have money and all of that. It's a balancing act that everyone has, but it's definitely more necessary to think about with FOP. I think supporting research is one of the most important things you can do to support the FOP community. People with FOP are very adaptive, and most of us have learned to live with our condition the way it is, but one of the hardest things is you could adapt to your most recent flare only to a week later have another flare and have to do it all over again. Being able to find a treatment where we can stop it from getting worse and kind of take away the P of FOP and stop making it so progressive, for me would mean that I don't have to worry anymore. I don't have to balance the present with the future anymore, because I wouldn't always have the storm cloud that's FOP reigning over me. Treatments don't come about without clinical trials. Clinical trials give the FOP community a chance to have a future they can plan for without having to worry about poking the sleeping bear of FOP. My biggest goal in life is to be a good person and to be someone that people are happy to have in their life, and to be someone that cares about other people and helping other people and making everyone feel valued.
I wish I could win the lottery.
I wish I could be a singer.
I wish I could eat pizza every day.
I wish I could live in Hawaii.
I wish that I could ride a unicorn.
I wish for a peaceful world.
I wish I could be an airline pilot.
I wish I could have a genie.
I wish I could play professional badminton.
I wish I had a lifetime pass to go to any hotel in the world for free.
I wish dogs could live forever.
I wish I could do my own hair.
I wish I could put my own socks on.
I wish I could dress myself.
I wish I could swim again.
I wish I could ride roller coasters.
I wish I could play sports.
I wish I could exercise freely without fear.
I wish I could play soccer.
I wish I could eat anything that I wanted.
I wish I could go out independently without relying on anybody but myself.
I wish I could travel alone.
I wish I didn't have to live with FOP.
This is why the IFOPA is investing in every path to hope.
Gene therapy gives me hope for tomorrow.
And clinical trials give me hope for treatments in the near future.
The IFOPA is working to make our wishes come true.
Will you invest in FOP research today?
You can help the IFOPA stop FOP.
Please give to find a cure for FOP.
Please give to make my wish come true.
Please give to create hope for today and hope for the future.
Please give to find cures for children and treatments to make life better for people like me.
Please give
so
the IFOPA
can make
our
wishes
come
true.
Please join our family in investing in every path to hope. We're on this path for as long as it takes to find treatments and a cure for FOP. On behalf of every child, individual, and family living with FOP, I'm asking you to make your gift to get us closer to a world without this devastating condition.
To donate, please visit ifopa.org/curefop. This is also where you'll be able to watch this presentation again and share it with your friends and family.
Thank you so much for being part of In Pursuit of a Cure 2022. Thank you for investing in every path to hope.